Welcome back to Story Mantra. I'm Lindsay Preston, your co-host here with my co-host, Anju Gattani, and we are here with Beverly Jenkins today, who we are so excited. And I'm going to kick it over to Anju so she can give you the lowdown on this fantastic woman we have joining us today.
Okay, so this is not just Beverly Jenkins. This is a literary phenomena we have today. She is incredible. And I know I have her bio here and you can read it all on her website. But the first time when I heard Beverly Jenkins talk was at an RWA conference several years ago with Brenda Jackson, both best-selling authors in different arenas. And oh my gosh, they're incredible. They talked about writing a series. They talked about the intricacies of writing a series, and everything they said was so mind-blowing to me, and it all made sense. So that's where I struck friendship with Beverly, and I just got to know her, and she is now one of my best friends and my mentor in the industry. So this couldn't be more exciting. For me, 20 years ago, when I started off knowing nobody in this journey to now know somebody as a phenomenal Beverly Jenkins, let's start off with who she is. So excited here. She is the USA Today bestselling author. She is a Publishers Weekly bestselling author. She is also the recipient of the 2017 Romance Writers of America Nora Roberts Lifetime Achievement Award. And I heard that speech when she gave it, by the way. She's also the 2016 Romantic Times Reviewer's Choice Award for Historical Romance. She has been nominated for NAACP Image Award in Literature, was featured both in the documentary Love Between the Covers and on the CBS Sunday Morning. Since the publication of Night Song in 1994, Beverly has been leading the charge for multicultural romance. Yes, a voice. And she has been a constant darling of reviewers, fans, and her peers alike, garnering accolades for her work from the likes of the Wall Street Journal, People Magazine, and NPR. Now, before we go on to the accolades, which have no beginning and no end, because there are so many of them, let's look at how many books she's written. And yes, that's going to take a little bit of time because that's how accomplished she is. She has 42 books. Boom, 42. Does that say something or what? She has a 10-book series. That's 10-book series, which is the Blessing series. So if you're wondering how J.K. Rowling wrote 7 books, ask this woman how she wrote a 10-book series. Then she has a 3-book series, which is also called, and I have it here. What is it called, Beverly?
It's the Destiny series, the Old West series, and the latest one is Women Who Dare series.
Women Who Dare.
3 books apiece.
So now that I've already got and roped Beverly in, Beverly, would you please take over? Because if we're going to give you the link below to Beverly's website. Check it out for all the details of all her accomplishments. And I think the most beautiful thing that somebody could say is Beverly Jenkins has reached romance superstardom, Detroit Free Press, but she's also a voice in women's fiction with her latest works. So she's not just a one and done. There are many more books coming out. Beverly, I'm so excited. Okay.
I can tell.
I think everybody can tell.
Take a deep breath, girl. Take a deep breath.
Well, it's so exciting to have you on. Beverly, I have to ask you, what does it mean for an author to write a series?
Lots of books, of course. Lots of time. Lots of trying to remember. What was his name again? Yeah, I did that because I'm a pantser. I'm not the most organized girl in the world. So it's a cast of thousands in this series. The premise is
thousands?
Huh?
Thousands of characters?
Bills. There are at least 30, maybe 35.
How do you deal with them all? I mean, how do you remember? Apart from intensive notes, I'm guessing.
That's what I'm getting ready to tell you. So the second book, there's a side character named Clayton. He's an older guy, and I called him Cliff in the next book. And the readers were like, Miss Bev, who is this? And I was like, oh, fuck. So I sort of, made allowances for that and called him Clay in the third book. The series is called the Blessing series, and what it is it's a woman who gets a big divorce settlement, and I mean her husband is a oil vice president,
Mhm.
so he's got like money like Midas, right? Money like God. So she comes out of the divorce court with just oogobs of money. So instead of buying handbags and shoes, which is what I would have done with the money. She buys this historic town that she sees on eBay, and she used to be a social worker, so she wants to bring in at-risk kids and have them raised by the senior citizens in the town because that's the only thing that's left is old folks. There's no, I mean, you look at small towns in America. A few years ago, there's no infrastructure, no young people. So she comes in with this money and she gets there's 5 kids, and she brings in foster parents and raises these kids. So it's a cast of foster parents, kids, the people who live in the town, new people who've come to the town. We have a 600-pound hog who also lives there, who is one of the stars. He's also, he killed somebody. He went on the lam, got married. Anyway, it's a great series, but I couldn't keep up.
And it's been optioned for film, right? Or
Yeah.
TV series?
Al Roker, I didn't even know Al Roker had an entertainment company. Al Roker, who does the weather on the Today Show.
Uh-huh.
So, because he's got, I guess, some kind of foster kid connection in his life, and the story really, really resonated with him. So anyway, so back to my disorganization. So I was on Twitter where I live, um, and Kit Roca, Bree, and Donna were telling me about a woman named Lily, and Lily does book Bibles.
Mm.
And she will go through, for all of you out there who are looking for help with the series, Lily will go through and she will list all your characters. She will list all of the important aspects of each book, put it in a Word document or however you want it, you know, and she will charge you, of course, and she's got a really, really reasonable rate. So I ran into her. I learned about her probably in book 8, and she sent me a document with 45 pages. That's how many people and all of that I had in the
Wow.
town. So that's how I keep up um, going forward, which is, I wish I had known about her in like book 3,
Right.
but she's been a lifesaver. But you have to read it. I mean, you can't just,
Yeah.
take it and leave it on your hard drive. You have to access it and consult it and all of that. So, but it's been fun. And since I'm a pantser, there's no plotting. So I don't know what, I did the kids first. So the first 5 books are basically the kids' books. Um,
Those are the adopted kids, the
yeah,
foster kids.
yeah, the foster kids.
Okay.
And then the next 6, 5 or 6, have focused on some of the adults. So it's been a fun series. It helps me clean my palate from writing the historicals. Because I mean, because you get so steeped sometimes in one genre that you need a break. And I'm blessed to have an editor who encourages me to write other stuff, a publishing house that encourages me to write other stuff. So, because sometimes, you get a contract or you're doing indie and you find yourself stuck because the publisher doesn't want you to do anything else or do anything different. But like I said, I've been blessed to have a great series of editors. I mean, all of my editors have been fabulous. 3 of them have been women of color. Um, oh, this is Amazon bringing me something. I was like, what is that noise?
Got an Amazon
The
delivery.
guy with the beard coming up on my porch. You know, Amazon bringing me something. Okay, I can relax now. I don't have to get the attack rabbit or out or everything. Um,
How about character development in your series, like the primary, the secondary? Because if you've got a cast of 30, how do you develop them from one book to the next?
you keep one of my editor's favorite lines is dig deeper. You can always dig deeper into a character. So with each book, depending on who I'm focusing on, and sometimes side characters too, you just peel them like an onion, you know, because there's always something underneath that initial layer that you may or may not know of. And me being a pantser, you know, I'm always surprised by what is underneath. Um, there,
So can I ask you, for our, newbie authors or newer writers, they've heard this term before or they haven't perhaps, but what do you mean after having written so many books when you tell somebody, peel back the layers of the onion to get the inner core? What does that mean to a newbie writer? What should they be looking for?
what other aspects of the character can you bring to light? Is there something in their backstory that you don't know about? Is there some kind of an interaction with maybe somebody in their family or someone that they know that you don't know about that brings out another aspect of their personality? Um, what do they like and what do they don't like? I mean, when you're doing characters, I look at it as being God.
Mhm.
So I get to create this person because you can't have characters in your stories just walking around doing stuff. You know, there has to be some kind of a motivation or some kind of inner influence or outer influence. When I teach character building, we talk about inner influences and outer influences. Inner influences would be, you know, what are they allergic to? What kind of favorite food do they like? Those kinds of things. And then outer influences would be, you know, where they live, where they drive, um, what's the relationship at work. All of those things go into character building. And I see the sun, which is going across my face. Ah, okay, that's better. It's that time of day because the sun is,
Oh, the sun, right?
yeah, the sun's racing across, well, not racing, but going across my front window. Um, so, I mean, you keep digging. I mean, there's always something that you don't know about that character. And I mean, we all write differently.
Mhm.
And I think one of the joys for me as a pantser is that I don't know who the characters are. And this helps me doing that peeling,
Mhm.
helps me understand and find new things about the character because I don't have a set idea of who that character may be. So that's my long-winded answer.
That's okay, because I mean, I've tried plotting ahead of time and it doesn't work for me. So I'm a pantser too.
Yeah.
I've got myself in tangles where I ended up writing two books in one book and then I have to tear the books apart. So I've gone even worse. But I've really thought about things happen that you least expect and issues about the characters come up that you least expect. Do you find that in the writing process that you're
Yeah.
discovering as you go along?
Oh yeah. I have been places I'm like, wait, what are we doing? You know, I had when I did Always and Forever, I can't tell you which book it was, one of the early books. It's the sequel to Topaz, which was my mail order bride wagon train book. Um, the guy who's the hero wants to go home to Texas to clear his name because he was railroaded and run out of town, and his dad was killed and all this, you know, a whole lot of drama. So when he goes back, um, the bad guys grab him and they kick his ass and they're dragging him through town on the back of this wagon, right? Just, you know, typical Western stuff. I love old Westerns.
Mhm.
So he's found by his family and friends, And to keep him from being actually killed by these people when they come back to get him, they go into the swamps. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Swamps in Texas? I mean, this is character driven, right? I had to get my atlas out and look and see if there, and yes, I'm in Michigan. I didn't know this. There are swamps on the border of Louisiana and Texas. Had no idea.
Wow.
So they're leading me into the swamps, the characters. And then one of the women, who's I think his aunt, starts to beat on this tree inside the swamp that I didn't know we were going to. And out of, and then appears this older woman on this like canoe thing with this big old guy. And damned if they weren't two of the most important characters in the book. I had no idea.
You had no idea?
I had no idea. So being a pantser can be very, very exciting. I did an interview with Sarah from Smart Bitches one time. And I told her, I said, I have this thing that I think my characters are in the corner of my office laughing at me because they know the story and I don't. For the Blessing series, for book 8 or 9, I don't remember which one it was. One of our main characters does something really, really stupid. I mean, absolutely stupid. And he leaves town. So in order for me to finish the story, I need to know where he is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a clue. So the night before the book was due at 9 o'clock, 4 in the morning, I'm in the bathroom screaming at the mirror, where the hell are you?
Oh my gosh.
Came to me right then. It's like they say, here's your. And I'm like, you couldn't have told me this 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, I wouldn't be on a deadline.
Right. So, so I finished the book, turned it in, and fell out for 3 days. But being a pantser is sort of like walking across the Grand Canyon on a tightrope with no net. And a lot of my writer friends who are plotters find it absolutely terrifying because we all do it differently. There's no set way to write. So for all you newbies out there, don't ever let anybody tell you that there is a way to do this. The only way to do this is your way. What works for you is the way for you to write. So I enjoy being a pantser. I've been a pantser all my life. I doubt I will change. I'm too old to change now anyway. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Well, let me ask you then, how do you make sure that you're not retelling the same story from one book to another within a series?
All the characters are different. I try and do a different, what I call flavor for each book. I try not to reproduce characters. Not a lot, but some of my books feature side characters.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that is reader driven. Oh, Miss Beth, please write her story. Please write her story. But if I don't know enough about that character's backstory, then I do it. But I make a conscious effort not to phone it in because there's a lot of successful writers out there who the only thing that is different is the names of the characters.
Right.
The books are the same rhythms, same issues. So I consciously try and make everything different. And whether I'm successful at it or not, the readers will let me know.
Well, clearly you are. I mean, because, to have 10 books in a series and working steadily on more series. So the confusion that I often face and, which I think about is if you're dealing with the same number of characters in the same setting, or even a variation of a setting or a variation of characters, like you have people coming in the town, leaving town, how do you not tell the same story for those characters again? Though the story on the whole may change, but for those individuals specifically.
They're all different. They all bring something different to the table. I mean, if you're in a meeting Um, say you have the same meeting place
Mhm.
or I don't know, RWA or something, a critique group. Those new people that come in there are not going to have the same story that the people who are already there have.
Right.
They're going to have a different way they were brought up. They may, it may have some things in common, but they all will bring something different to the conversation. So that's what you concentrate on. You don't concentrate on how they are similar. You concentrate on how they're different, if that makes any sense.
It makes total sense. And we are getting close to time. So if you have
I had a
one
list of questions.
and good thing she's coming back on Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead,
But
Les.
so if you want to, for a new author looking to start what they're thinking would be a series,
Mm-hmm.
what should you do? Blank piece of paper. What is your best advice for that person looking to write that series?
Write that first book first, because some books, at least in my mind, don't hold up for series. But if you're writing that book, or if you start and the stuff's going through your head, and you see three brothers or three sisters, or then start making notes. I have a new series that just popped up last week, and it's three different brothers. So, I did a little 2 lines of one brother and 2 lines of the other brother and 2 lines of the third brother. And the first brothers is going to get a full story. So I'm hoping that as I develop that first story, it will also give me fuel for the second brother and the third brother, because they have those things in common. They have parents in common. They may have 3 different jobs. So you let that first story fuel everything, and then everything arcs off of that first story. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So that first story becomes the pillar or the foundation for the entire book series to follow.
Yeah. And then, and you don't reveal everything in that first book. Even though, okay, like for the Destiny series, there were three brothers. There's also their mom. And she had a backstory that was amazing. So I threaded her story through all 3 books, so that you got a little, you got an initial look at her in the first book. And then in the second book, I revealed a little bit more about her. Because there was a guy, she had lost her husband. Sons are grown, but her husband, her late husband, had a good friend who had been in love with her since forever. And it was his trying to convince himself that it was okay for him to love her, and it was okay for her to say yes to his courtship and all of that. So I threaded that through 3 books. And then the third book, or the second book, I don't remember. Third book, I think, they had a wedding. The boys had been fighting the night before, and they're taking her down the aisle with black eyes and each other, taking her down the aisle with black eyes and scrapes and cuts and all of that. But so, I mean, and sometimes you just need to tell yourself the story.
Yeah.
And not concentrate on writing a book. Just tell yourself the story. And a lot of times the problems and the speed bumps and the issues that are behind doors that you don't not real sure of will come to you if you free yourself and give yourself the freedom to just tell yourself a story. So
that should be the first draft. Tell yourself the story.
yeah, first drafts are crap. I mean, they're supposed to be. Newbies do not send anybody your first draft. Nobody wants to see that. It's shitty. It's crappy. It's supposed to be, and it's the second and the third draft that, when you start really writing. But the first draft is crap always. Mine are always awful, because I'm a pantser. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm like Moses wandering around in the wilderness. I have no idea. So.
Well, you're telling yourself a story in the first draft.
Yeah, but I don't know what the story is. My problem. I got people wandering around going, well, what are we doing, girl? I'm like, well, I don't know. Stick with me. We'll find the pillar cloud and it'll tell us where we're going to the promised land. But right now, I don't know, so
And
take
I
that back.
see Lindsay giving me the look.
Yes, so we're about done with time, but I also have a little person who's like sneaking around my ankles right now.
Oh, your cat.
No, a little person. I'm
Oh,
trying to keep her down.
Oh, can I see her? Say hi, baby.
You can come say hi.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hi.
there we are.
Yeah, everyone, this is my little aspiring author.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I was the editor of my elementary newspaper in the 4th grade. So, yeah. Are you?
Yep, see? And
Yeah.
she wants to be a writer when she goes.
and she's also a social media specialist already.
That's awesome. Good to meet you.
What do you say? Okay, well, that was a little off for me today, but that's okay.
That's a nice way to end.
Yeah, Beverly, thank you so much for joining us, and it was a pleasure, and I can't wait till we talk again on Friday.
Mhm.
And thank you all, and we'll see you back with Beverly next week.
Yes, we are excited to talk again with Beverly and to hear more about what it takes to write multicultural world building and of course the series again. So thank you everybody, and we'll learn more as we go along. Take care. Bye.